Euranet Plus Panorama is a weekly review of European news broadcast by our network of EU radio stations.
Hi there, and welcome back to Euranet Plus Panorama. As Southern Europe braces for a summer of searing heat and wildfires, Brussels prepares to get stuck in. According to the EU's Copernicus Climate Service, June 2025 was the hottest month in Western Europe since records began. All the signs therefore point to a painful period for certain member states over the coming months. One such member state is Portugal, where Carlos da Câmara, a climatologist and researcher at the University of Lisbon, explains to our colleagues at Radio Renascença that the wet spring experienced by his country somewhat counterintuitively leads to an increased risk of serious fires this summer.
This is one of those years when we could have serious forest fires or rural fires, because having had a very wet spring, we have very abundant vegetation, and this vegetation dries out very easily. This means that we have a lot of material that is ideal for burning. If we now have a very hot summer, punctuated by heat waves, this could lead to complicated problems. Da Câmara adds that the frequency, intensity and extent of heat waves are increasing at a rapid rate. Back at the end of March, Brussels presented its Preparedness Union strategy. This was conceived to strengthen the EU's capacity to prevent and provide a coordinated response to emerging threats of all kinds, be they climate-related, health-related, or other hybrid threats. The strategy seeks to improve coordination between member states through a new Emergency Response Coordination Centre. It also aims to serve as a crisis survival guide for EU citizens. During last week's plenary debate on the Preparedness Union strategy, European Parliament Vice President Victor Negrescu called for a real shift of focus towards prevention. His comments are shared by Radio Romania. The European Union must move from reaction to prevention. Fires and droughts are no longer exceptions. They are the new normal. In Romania, we have seen how extreme temperatures have destroyed crops in Timiș, Alba and Olt, how strong winds have set fields alight in Giurgiu and Telorman. In Constanța, farmers have found their land parched, and in many villages, firefighters have had to intervene using old or inadequate equipment.
And with negotiations just now kicking off on the EU's next long-term budget, the Multi-Annual Financial Framework, or MFF, VP Negrescu asked MEPs to keep crisis prevention in mind during the negotiation process.
As chief negotiator of the EU budget for 2025, I secured additional funding for emergencies, more resources to equip local authorities, direct support for vulnerable communities and the creation of a real European capacity for early response. But we must not let up. We cannot leave communities to face crises alone. A prepared union is one that prevents, not just intervenes, and prevention must become a central pillar of our European budget and policies.
During the same debate, Hadja Labib, the commissioner responsible for preparedness and crisis management, echoed Negrescu's call. AMS reports.
Let's be clear. Preparedness needs resources. We need bold, sustained investment in prevention and preparedness. And of course, I do not forget recovery. Recovery is essential, not just to rebuild, but to give hope and support to those affected by disaster. The EU Solidarity Fund is a vital tool to make sure that when crisis strikes, no country is left to face it alone. That is why I count on your support to uphold a strong level of ambition in the upcoming FFF negotiation. This is not about political bargaining, it is about solidarity, the very soul of our European Union.
Concretely, in terms of the wildfires, the European Commission announced at the end of May the deployment of an EU-coordinated team some 650 firefighters strong. These personnel, sourced from 14 different member states, will be based in key locations in France, Spain, Portugal and Greece,
all member states at elevated risk of forest fires. And further firefighting teams are on standby across the bloc, should the need arise. In addition, 22 firefighting planes and 4 helicopters have been deployed across 10 member states with the aim of reinforcing national capacities over the critical summer months. Brussels is also ready to provide Copernicus satellite images. This initiative is intended to help member states launch a faster and more robust response to fire-related crises. Following the Commission's announcement, the president of the League of Portuguese Firefighters, António Nunes, warned in an interview with Renascença of the need for specific training for those firefighters who were being sent to Portugal.
Ponto de vista do reforço dos meios é sempre bem-vindo e penso que a União Europeia vem.
From the point of view of reinforcing resources, this is always welcome, and I think the European Union is demonstrating that it is concerned, above all, with the issue of climate change, which has been causing fires in various EU member states to become more intense and spread more quickly. The question that often arises with the mobilization of these teams clearly relates to the framework that needs to be put in place in order to adapt the technical knowledge of some of these teams to the nature and topology of our forests, which is different from that of other countries.
E a tipologia da nossa floresta que é diferente de outros países.
Any country affected by wildfires, including non-EU states, can request firefighting assistance through the EU Civil Protection Mechanism by contacting the 24/7 Coordination Centre in Brussels. This hub then gathers offers of assistance from other states and manages the deployment of resources. The European Commission also wants to launch an EU-wide stockpiling strategy to strengthen access to critical resources in the event of a crisis or climate disaster. Now for something a little different. We have a special guest today, Morgan Childs from the fact-checking team at Euranet Plus. Hi, Morgan.
Hi.
In your latest report, you've been looking into the digital euro, a complex and largely misunderstood topic that appears to be the subject of widespread disinformation. Currently under development by the European Central Bank, which has up until now only issued money in the form of cash, the digital euro would be a free and universally accepted means of payment. Its development has been prompted by a desire to maintain confidence in the euro in the face of declining cash use and to protect the role of public money. In other words, money that's issued and backed by a government, which ensures its legitimacy and ease of access. Fact-checkers across the Euranet Plus network have discovered viral social media posts, some even disseminated by leading European politicians, which are in the process of spreading false information that could undermine public confidence in this project. So, why is this project so misunderstood?
These myths have persisted in part due to low public awareness about the digital currency. Surveys show that a significant percentage of Europeans have not yet heard of the digital euro. Among those who have, many confuse it with cryptocurrency, or suspect that it could enable the central bank to monitor or restrict their purchases. Opponents of the digital currency have also suggested that its introduction signals the end of cash in Europe. In reality, the digital euro is designed to supplement cash, to ensure continued public access to central bank money, and to support European monetary sovereignty.
In other words, it will strengthen the EU's financial independence? From whom?
The central bank argues that this is of particular importance in today's digital age, in which payments are often mediated by non-European platforms such as Visa and MasterCard.
And would there be any limitations or controls on its use?
The ECB has emphasized that the digital euro would not be programmable. In other words, its use would not be limited to specific types of goods or services, nor would it be restricted by location or time. The central bank has also stressed that the digital currency would not be used to impose negative interest rates or to draw from individual citizens' savings, as many opponents of the digital euro have suggested.
How about claims that it would infringe on Europeans' privacy?
The ECB has stated that it is committed to protecting personal data through measures such as offline, cash-like payment options. Several public interest organizations have, however, called for stronger protections and tighter limits on data collection.
So what's next?
A final decision on whether to introduce the digital euro is expected no sooner than late 2025 or 2026. While the ECB has emphasized that the currency is intended to safeguard users' privacy and provide greater choice for consumers, improved public awareness will be essential to instill trust in consumers and to ensure a successful rollout.
Thank you, Morgan. And that closes our last panorama before the summer break. We'll be back on the 29th of August with more news from across the Euranet Plus network. Make sure you tune in then.